Crash here, Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video. Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends. I've been saying the name for like 5 years now here on the channel, but what the heck does Raid Shadow Legends even mean? It's interesting, right? Have you ever even thought about it? Like, it's one of those words that just becomes part of your lexicon and it means the game, obviously. But when I first heard it, I'm like, wow, this is a weird name for a game, Raid Shadow Legends. And then you look at the whole lore of Teleria and everything like that. Unless I missed it, there's never an explanation of what is Raid and where's the shadows and where's the legendaries at?
Now, I do not feel at all qualified to discuss the philosophical implications of that.
Anyway, guys, today we're gonna talk about Doom Tower bosses. We're gonna talk about the best champions for all 8 of the Doom Tower bosses. Now, obviously, I could be here all day and then some talking about the best specific champions for every single Doom Tower boss. I could have a list of, 30 or 40 or 50 per boss, right?
No, you can't do that to me.
So I'm limiting myself to an extent about talking about some of my favorite accessible champions, meaning past fusions for legendaries or epics and even some rare champions as well. So basically, champions that are daily logins, champions that were previous fusions, just champions that the majority of players out there either have or had a shot at one point in time. That's going to be kind of the restriction on today's video. There will be a lot of legendaries, but there'll be champions like, I don't know, UDKs of the world, right? So let's start with Magma Dragon. But before we do, there's 2 champions that really should be or could be on almost every single list. So rather than list them 150 times, I'm sure it's not going to be a surprise to anybody, but Newt, right? He has the Blessed Bash. He has that great turn meter control on the A1. Blessed Bash, the hardest hitting enemy max HP ability in the game, which is obviously great against the Doom Tower bosses, being bosses with a lot of HP. So instead of saying Newt 8 times, I'll just say that Newt is still God in Raid Shadow Legends.
I am the chosen one.
This guy is still the man. He's still one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable champions in PvE in the entire game. The other one is actually Mithrala, right? So Newt and Mithrala, I still consider them both top 10 legendaries in the game, maybe top 5 on both of them in the game. They're both that good. And Mithrala, again, her base stats from her cleanse to her shield to her hex, increased defense, increased attack, and the poisons and the passive and the accuracy aura. Oh, wow. Yeah, man, you can use Mithrala almost everywhere. That's why Hydra Clan boss should be such a huge priority even to newer players out there to get their hands on this absolute game changer, and that applies to almost every Doom Tower boss as well. So, okay, now let's talk about individual bosses, starting with the Magma Dragon, okay? So if I forget your favorite champion on any of these lists, please go ahead and again, let me know about it. I'm gonna go quick here because a lot of champions to cover and a lot of bosses to cover in the video. So Husk, I love Husk because he has a provoke from the Magma Dragon. That's what we're looking for. And he has an enemy max HP ability, right? So my other favorite provokers are Seeker. Seeker has a really dependable provoke on his A1. It's a 50% chance of placing a provoke, but it actually happens on each hit as well. Moreover, he has that nice extra turn ability, can bring the increased attack and that juicy turn meter boost with the extra turn, and his passive can help you out as well. We talked about this guy a few times. I released an entire dedicated video on this guy, but Jizzo, that's right, the champion that everybody gets for free and was trash for so long, is not trash anymore for Hydra Clan boss or for the Magma Dragon. He's Spirit Affinity. He goes in with a provoke for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. Moreover, he has the extra turn ability as well to get back to that provoke on essentially a 3-turn cooldown lasting for 2 turns. That is absolutely insane. Jizzo is a top tier provoker for Magma and for the Head of Decay. This guy, honestly, he's so good, Wixwell, that he could almost go at the top of the list with Newt and Mithrala. We'll be mentioning him a few times in today's video, needless to say. He has the provoke on the A1. That's 100% provoke against bosses. It makes him one of the best provokers in the entire game. The community did it right with Wixwell, right? He's really good. He has the decreased attack. He's got the shield, the increased shield, the increased... I mean, you guys are familiar with his kit. He's very, very good against the Magma Dragon as your main provoker and your support champion all in one. Super solid. We mentioned him earlier, but how about UDK? UDK is really, really solid here against a couple different bosses. I like him against the Magma Dragon. He has a chance of provoking on his A1. It's only a 50%, but he's tanky. He's a solid all-around champion who can also support your team with the continuous heal and the shield throughout those vicious attacks. And then last one, let's call out a rare here. There's a few different rare provokers that I really like out there, and we did a video on him very recently, Master Butcher, who will also be talking about later on in the video as well. He also has a 2-turn provoke for a rare champion. Not too bad. That's on a 4-turn cooldown. He's also bringing an increased attack and increased crit rate to the table. So those are some of my favorites there for the Magma Dragon. Let's move over to the Nether Spider. Let's start with good old Demitha, who we could put on a lot of these lists. She's got a great increased duration of buffs, decreased duration of ally debuffs as well. Great for the Nether Spider. She also has block damage, essential in a lot of teams for the Nether Spider, as well as healing your allies on that A3. It's still an amazing ability, Channel the Bloodline, having that block damage and the heal on a 3-turn cooldown. Demitha could be on a bunch of teams. Obviously, Mithrala as well is going to shine here. We already talked about her. But let's talk about good old Pythion.
I don't live here.
Who's not a skinwalker, he's a lizard man, Ash. Pythion, a fusion back in the day, right? This guy's so good. He's got that cleanse on a 3-turn cooldown. He's also healing, and he's healing by an extra 5% for each debuff removed. That could be a massive heal against the Nether Spider, who's dishing out poisons on poisons on poisons. Also can revive your team. So Pythion's very, very good against the Nether Spider. Another one that we'll probably mention again before this video is over is going to be good old-fashioned, but still has it, Doom Priest. Doom Priest has that cleanse. She brings the increased attack, sure, but she has the cleanse and the heal on that passive. Fantastic option for a kind of a permanent cleanser. I love her in relentless sets. That way, every time she's taking a turn, and hopefully even a double turn, she's cleansing and she's healing at the same time. Of course, the best rare cleanser in the game by a mile is going to be none other than Reliquary Tender. She's going to be cleansing and healing from all those poisons on the Nether Spider. We have, oh man, 2 of my favorites. We're going to talk about burners when we talk about the Nether Spider, one of the top strategies for not just the Nether Spider, but for a lot of bosses in the game. And it's going to be good old Drexstar. Drexstar Blood Twin is one of the best Doom Tower boss killers inside the entire game, still to this day. He's got triple hitter, he's got self-heal, he's got provoke to help you on the waves, but he's got that burn on the passive. A great burner for the Nether Spider. But of course, my personal go-to burner, and one of my favorite burners in the game, is going to be Geomancer. Geomancer is another boss killer. He's got the weaken, he's got the burn, and then he's got that stone guard to really start ramping up the damage. My personal strategy is using a Geomancer with actually a Venom Mage, who I really love as well. Venom Mage has some instant activation, which is nice. She can also debuff, but she's got that nice heal reduction and the poisons on a 3-turn cooldown on 3 turns duration as well, right? So I love me some Venom Mage for the Nether Spider. And then my go-to block damage champion on my account that I use is going to be Helicath. Helicath, of course, a permanent, a previous fusion. I wish he was a permanent fusion.
I'd say it cost at least a couple hundred.
He's got block damage on the 4-turn cooldown. After that, he'll replace it with some increased defense, and he can help you out along the way, either killing those spiralings or just supporting the team with the shield on the A2 ability. Those are my favorites for Nether Spider. Of course, there's a lot that I didn't mention. Let's move on to the Scarab King. So I don't know if this guy is considered accessible or not, to be fair, but my go-to for Scarab King is Heroes Soul Cage. Of course, he has the poisons on the passive. He's tanky. You can just throw him in a regen, and he's got you covered just with the passive poisons. But speaking of passive poisons, there's also an epic champion that can bring that to the table in Taragi the Frog. When attacked, has a 50% chance of placing a poison debuff on the attacker for 2 turns. Now, of course, for the Scarab King, we can still use a champion like, I don't know, Cold Heart, right? One of the OG enemy max HP champions in the game. We simply put her in a destroy set to deplete the enemy max HP. So Cold Heart is obviously still going to be a great option against the Scarab King. But we also want shields against the Scarab King. Who's the best shield champion for a rare? Not good old Muckstalker, excuse me.
Oh, why not?
It's actually Metal Shaper. There we go. Metal Shaper on a 2-turn cooldown has a shield that lasts for 2 turns. Scarab King is all about having those shields up all the time, and Metal Shaper again has it. 2 turns, 2-turn cooldown. Metal Shaper's campaign farmable rare as well. It's going to help a lot of players. But there's actually not even a rare. Forget rares. There's actually an uncommon champion I would recommend for the Scarab King again to put into that destroy gear. And it's none other than good old Armiger. Good old Armiger, man. He still brings it, right? He has decreased turn meter on his A1. Then he has the enemy max HP from a defense-based champion and an uncommon champion on a 2-turn cooldown. Very good. Let me give you another rare for the Scarab King, though. Let me give you another option for a shielder.
Hello, it's me.
And it's actually Draconis. Draconis is a void rare champion. He's got a shield for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. He's removing debuffs from an ally. He's healing them and more heals on the A1. Kind of an option that does drop off as you scale up in difficulty. But I have a personal spot for Draconis as I relied on him for a while. Another option that I love for support against the Scarab King is going to be good old Vergis, who can actually solo a lot of content out there. I've seen Vergis solo half the Doom Tower bosses, it feels like. He's very difficult to kill with the second wind ability. He's got one of these great buffs on Aegis, not only supporting one ally, but also all allies with the second part of this. After his rework, he's a fantastic option for a lot of bosses. One of my faves is a lesser known or lesser talked about fusion or fragment summon in the past is Lana Theral, an ally attacker who also has a big juicy shield for 3 turns on a 3-turn cooldown, right? So we're looking for those shields, obviously, again, on Scarab King to be up as often as possible. All right, those are my favorite Scarab King champions, guys. Let's move on to the Frost Spider. There's a lot of them. I want to start with the daily login against Frost Spider. You guys probably know where I'm going here. I love Dark Elhain. Every time that Frost Spider lands that freeze, she's gonna be rattling off the Death's Majesty ability. You gotta love it. It's a lot of damage, and she just turns into an absolute monster. Okay, monster! When against the Ice Golem, against a Tormin, or against a Frost Spider. Anytime you're gonna be encountering a lot of freezes. Next up, obviously, we're talking about Burn. We talk about Frost Spider. So having that Geomancer is gonna be amazing. Again, the 3-turn burn and the passive. We already talked about him, but he's gonna be a great option. So is Drexstar Blood Twin. Everybody should go get Drexstar from the Bazaar. It's the only reason, or it's one of the only reasons, I guess, to actually put in the time and do your tag team arena battles on a daily basis. Another one of my favorite burners in the game that we haven't talked about yet is Artak, one of the best fusions of all time in the game. He's placing the burn, and then he's activating the burn as well. 3 AoEs, tanky, HP base, can do some nice wave damage as well. When we talk about epic burners, there's a lot of them in the game, guys, but I'll give you my 3 favorites for the Frost Spider specifically. First off, we have good old Mordecai. He's an old school burner at this time in the game, but he's still very good. He's bringing an increased attack as well on all allies for 3 turns. He's bringing that burn. He's got turn meter as well, Phil, on his A2 ability. Who else do I love for epic burners? I love my man. I should have taken better notes in preparation for today's video. I love Skrank. You guys know how much I love this dude. He's got great burns on a 3-turn cooldown. He's void affinity. You gotta love the dude, right? If you're looking for a rare option for a burner, really one of the best options out there, especially single target burner, which is all you need, is gonna be Coffin Smasher, right? Coffin Smasher is a rare champion. He's bringing that burn on the A2 ability. It is a 75% chance at landing, 80% with sniper, but it's a 3-turn cooldown. He's one of the best options you're gonna have for a rare burner out there. All right, so those are some of my favorite burners, guys. Let's talk about a couple others, though. How about good new, and this guy's just next level insane Marius, right? Marius is just the GOAT, right?
Oh, that's a horse with a sword on his head.
He has Enfeeble on his A1. Obviously, you know, you can use that against the Spiderlings. He's an enemy max HP ability on his A2 ability, ×3 enemy max HP. He's bringing the increased accuracy, the increased defense on all allies, the extra turn mechanic, and the Frost Spider cannot put the decreased speed on him because he's immune to turn meter reduction effects and decreased speed. Marius is just built different. An enemy max HP champion who can also buff the team with 3-turn duration, increased defense, increased attack. The extra turns can't be decreased speeded. He can't be applied to Marius. So this is some of my favorites for the Frost Spider guys. Actually, you know, one more, why not? I really love Achak the Wender, and actually 2 more. Akoff the Seared, another great burner, right? With his burn on his A2 ability. Now the chances aren't going to be 100% like they are against the Spiderlings and the traditional Spider, but still a good burner if you don't have another option, and you can get him for free in the Doom Tower normal track, right? And then Achak the Wenderin as well, right? Achak is really cool, can freeze the Spiderlings, also has a block debuff and a strengthen, but this passive Twisted Hunger, it's going to heal every time an HP burn champion gets a turn, right? Really cool. And then fills a turn meter of all allies every time a freeze enemy gets a turn. And shame on me if I'm not going to talk about Lydia this far into the video. This is the one area where you absolutely want Lydia on your team because she can block the revive of the Spider, ergo mitigating the, you know, the death effect that the Spider has to be against having an HP burn when it dies. Otherwise, it's going to revive with 50% HP. That's not going to happen because Lydia's passive Death Hold actually denies that revival. So she allows you to get around that burn condition. She is SSSS tier for the Frost Spider. Let's talk about the Griffin, guys. The Griffin. I find the Griffin the easiest out of every Doom Tower boss. What about you guys? I'll take this opportunity to talk about some of my favorite supports that really could be listed against a lot of these Doom Tower bosses. Starting with my girl, your girl, Syl the Drakes. What's up, baby?
I have your dinner waiting for you at home, Master.
Syl's amazing. She's got the heals. She's got the revive. She's got the stuns. Why not, right? She's got the decreased speed, in this case on the A1 ability. Having the heals, the revive, the control in other areas of the game, and that decreased speed on the A1 with decreased turn meter as well, still makes her one of the most essential champions out there in the game. It's still awesome that everybody's able to get a champion this good so early into the game as a free daily login reward champion. Against the Griffin, I love ally attackers personally, so I'm going to give a big nod to some of my faves here. Of course, the Griffin, we do want to land like a decreased attack. We want to kind of mitigate buffs. So I just like ally attack, ally attack, ally attack is my fave strategy. That means that Fat Man is going to be my go-to. Increased crit rate, increased crit damage. Ally attack also brings burn and poison, which generally speaking is a great addition to an already very strong kit. He's my favorite epic burner in the game. Although I will say, I have been using Catacomb Counselor as well as an ally attack champion. A 3 allies join on the ally attack. He also has a triple hitter, which is useful in some Fire Knight areas as well. So I like Catacomb Counselor. Heck, I mean, I can't get through a video not talking about Morag, one of my favorites as well. She has the Raider Captain, excuse me, where 2 allies join in the ally attack. It's still very strong, and she brings the big version of Strengthen, which is very, very useful, obviously. One of my favorite supports for the Griffin is going to be Under Priest Brogni. I love Brogni having that shield. Just a really, really good support champion, right? The block debuff, the increase attack, and the shield, and the grow shield ability just makes him very robust pretty much against half of these bosses. A legendary ally attacker that was once a fusion or a fragment summon, I think, is Kreela Witch Arm. Yeah, she's really solid too. She's got an increased attack, increased crit rate, and AoE attack, and then she has that blinding glow ally attack. Only 3 allies, but it's also only a 3-turn cooldown. And man, this is another champion who's just the boss killer of all Doom Tower, but he has to be somewhere. Let's start here. It's Ninja.
Hey, it's me again.
Right, he's placing the burn and activating the burn on the A2 ability. Man, he's just next level in so many different bosses, but especially the Griffin. He's just absolutely decimates the Griffin. Anybody else that I want to say here against the Griffin? I feel like there's a lot more that we could add here, but it's, again, to me, one of the easier bosses out there. Let me know if you disagree with me on that, though. Let's move on to the Eternal Dragon. So again, we like cleansers, so Mithrala is going to be amazing. Champions that we've mentioned before, like Doom Priest, are going to be fantastic. Lydia is great against the Eternal Dragon, especially with that A2 and A3 ability. One of my favorite healers that we haven't talked about yet, especially for a couple different Doom Tower bosses, you could even use them against Bommal, is actually Vrask. Vrask has the ability to heal on every critical hit. So it doesn't matter if he has block active skills, he can easily heal off of his A1 ability. And the cool thing about his heal is based on his HP, not his damage dealt. Meaning that if he's hitting with his A1 or his A2, you're still going to get a big juicy heal. It's going to be the same regardless. So if he's under the block active skills, you're still going to be great in terms of heals with a Vrask on your team. Drexstar is going to be amazing. Ninja is going to be absolutely amazing again against the Eternal Dragon. Still one of my go-to champions. Drexstar, did I say that? I think I did. Drexstar Blood Twin is going to be great for a burner because if he's under the block active skills, he can still land the burn with his fiery blood on the passive, right? So very, very good there. Let's talk about decrease attack on A1s. Obviously, again, the block active skills is what you got to worry about, so damage mitigation is going to be key. So we're looking for champions that have a high percentage decrease attack on their A1 ability. And one of those champions is going to be an old school guy, an oldie, but still kind of a goodie. It's Jarek. He's going to bring an ally protect on an increased defense. It is on a 4-turn cooldown, a little power creep there, but he does have a, 35, 40, 65% with Sniper decrease attack on his A1 ability, but he's not my favorite. My favorite is actually going to be either good old Man-Eater, right? Man-Eater's still got some viability, even if the meta has shifted a little bit for Demon Lord Clan Boss. He's got a decrease attack debuff on all enemies on his A1, as long as the attack is critical. So build him with 100% crit rate, you're going to be a-okay with that dependable decrease attack. But who's my other favorite champion that really nobody ever talks about anymore? It's good old Padma. Padma, with her A1 ability, probably the best in the game, right there with, Man-Eater. Attacks one enemy 2 times. If the attack is critical, has a 100% chance when booked of placing the big version of decrease attack debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. Agonize, Padma, very, very good ability. She also brings an AoE decrease accuracy and a very hard-hitting defense-based nuke, one of the hardest-hitting defense abilities for epic champions in the game in Appropriate. I would say it's probably the hardest-hitting ability on a 3-turn cooldown, too, and you're removing all buffs from the target, placing them on this champion with a heck of a lot of damage. Padma, very solid there. So Padma, Jareg, Man-Eater, Ninja, those are my favorites for Eternal Dragon. Let's talk about probably the 2 most challenging, or certainly the most important Doom Tower bosses in Bommal and Dark Fae. Let's start with Bommal. It feels criminal here this late into the video to not have mentioned Vogoth. Listen, Vogoth can be an amazing healer almost anywhere in the game. Any of the bosses that we've spoken about, you can get by with a Vogoth, right? Very good on the heals. Just like the idea that he can just heal right off his passive is so useful. It's so helpful. I rely on him as my main healer, even against the Nether Spider, who we mentioned earlier, but certainly against Bommal. All those bombs going off, he's going to be able to heal your team throughout, right? So very, very good there. Also, we talked about Master Butcher earlier in the video. Let's talk about him again. Again, a rare champion here on his, not his pyre, although this can be useful too. Revives a random ally with full HP when this champion is killed. Not bad. When attacked, heals all allies equal to the amount of damage taken. Does not work against bosses, but it does work against the bombs, the bomb ads that actually do all that damage. It is on a 1-turn cooldown, but can be a mini Vogoth for your team as well. Now we talk about, let's talk about some solos, right? Man, we cannot talk about Bommal without talking about the Red Lady. Lady Annabelle, oof, she is the best, the GOAT. To me, she's the most easiest to build in dependable solo strategies against Bommal in the game, and she can easily handle Bommal hard 90, provided you can build her HP high enough, right? It's just this, the Red Lady passive heals this champion by 50% of her max HP whenever an ally or enemy dies. It allows you to keep her alive while she can just, you know, War Master the Bommal down, right? It's very easy to solo with Lady Annabelle, plus she has a really good base stats, over 20k HP, so it's my favorite solo strat. If you're just struggling against Bommal and you don't mind waiting 13 minutes for Lady Annabelle to finish it off, she can get the job done. Moreover, she has a pretty good kit in other areas of the game as well. Increased speed, she has a leech and a decreased speed on an AoE as well. That is an AoE, that's really, really solid there on her kit. She's a good champion. You can use Vergis, again, we talked about him earlier, but a very, very good support champion, can even solo some earlier levels of Bommal. Let's talk about let's talk about another support champion. I wouldn't put her in the same category maybe as some of the others that we've mentioned so far, but I want to give out some shout outs that are not super meta like we have been for much of this video. In Crimson Helm, right? She has a lot of defense. She's very slow, but she's an old school epic in the game. She's got decreased attack on her A1, 50% chance to place in the big version, not bad. She has a provoke block damage on a 4-time at random, but she has a revive on death, right? And increased defense, so this unguard ability can be great against Bommal just in terms of survivability and the revive on death, right? But it's all about the bomb when we talk about Bommal, right? What's the easiest way to kill Bommal? Well, my favorite strategy in the entire game is going to be old school Christmas fusion. I say old school, it was like 2 years ago, right?
But that was yesterday.
Nishak Vermin Lord, the big rat daddy. He's got the bombs on the A1, making him one of the best strategies. The strategy that I personally use is Ratman going in there with as many ally attackers as I can get on the squad to land the bombs on the A1 in essentially one turn of Bommal, and he's dead, all thanks to Nishak. We can also go in with the A3 ability, place the bombs, go in with the A2, get the extra turn, reduce the duration. To me, Nishak is the best Bommal champion in the game, but if you don't have Nishak, there's also a couple other options for you. One of them is Fire Gun Isabel. Not as good as Nishak, but she does have the chance of decreasing duration of bombs on her A1, placing bombs on a random enemy on her A1, instantly detonating the bomb debuff placed on that enemy, and all bomb debuffs placed by the skill on enemies whose max HP is higher than 200,000 will do 20% more damage. So that one A1 ability, and again, she has bomb synergy on her A2 as well. She also brings a weaken, can help you out on the waves. Makes her, to me, the best epic bomber, specifically for Bommal, right? There's one other bomb champion I want to talk about, but honestly, I want to use him to start off Dark Fae. So Dark Fae is the most important Doom Tower boss in the game because has the best gear set associated with her. Hey, listen, I can slack on Doom Tower, but I never ever slack on Dark Fae farming. Like, that's the one thing I'm going to prioritize over everything else. So if you take away one boss to really focus on in this video, it's going to have to be Dark Fae. Let's start with that bomb champion that I mentioned here. Obviously, you can use him against Bommal, but I love Gaius the Gleeful, a previous fusion in the game against the Dark Fae, because he opens up with an AoE attack that has a 100% chance of placing sleep on each enemy, as well as a bomb. So he's a good, damage dealer, obviously, but also a very good control option by sleeping all of your, your mirrored version of your team that you have to engage before engaging against Dark Fae. So I like him for that reason. Let's talk about Armands, right? Might as well. Getting a good control strategy, and there's a lot of different ways to accomplish this against Dark Fae, is going to be amazing. It's going to be extremely helpful, obviously. So with Armands, I mean, just because of the reason that he's so unbelievably god tier in the arena, a lot of players still can't believe that they have not gone in and touched him up or down, I want to say. No balance changes.
It is my masterpiece.
But he's still the GOAT in Dark Fae as well. Opening up with that AoE stun. As a matter of fact, as long as you have a turn meter fill strategy, right? Or maybe like a Shuzen on the team. She's not technically in this video because she's not accessible and easy to use, but getting that instant turn ability, as long as you have a turn meter booster, or Nekmo Thar, somebody like that, or Lysandra, or in purposes of this video, a Deacon Armstrong. There you go. I love the Deke because he's turn meter boosting. We get the extra turn. You're also decreasing turn meter of all enemies. That's a great opening move for Dark Fae. It makes sure that you really allow your team to go first. Then you can unleash your other CC abilities or just enough damage to kill all the mirrored versions. With Deke, we can open up with time compression and then go right in vis-a-vis an extra turn with the decreased defense and set up our nuclear beautifully for engaging our mirrored champion version. So I absolutely love him. Another one of my real faves. She's so insanely good. I wasn't down on her when she was released, but she's way better than even I had expected, right? It's Estrid Dream Song. An increased speed, an increased attack, turn meter fill with the extra turn. Then we go into an AoE, turn meter decrease, a decreased speed, and a weaken, all essentially in one turn. That's insane. She's very, very, very good. Elite tier. Speaking of elite tier, of course, Ninja is going to be the man again. And luckily, they brought him back to the game, so I don't have to hear the complaints from you guys anymore every time I mention his name. It was years of me walking on eggshells, not able to even talk about Ninja, lest you guys in the comments gave me grief about missing out on him. Well, now you can experience the magic that is Ninja against Dark Fae for your own pleasure. He has an AoE freeze that you can open up with to freeze all your allies, and then you can go in and hail burn down Dark Fae in the mid and late game of the battle against Dark Fae, right? So really good. Also brings that decreased defense on his A1 as if we needed more value.
Let's slow down and take a deep breath.
Yeah, we should just close the game, but we're not done yet. Let's talk about another champion that is farmable from the clan shop that we really haven't spoken about this video so far, and that's the Carl the Scourge. Very good. Again, an AoE freeze. You can notice these themes here. We're looking at these champions that fill turn meter, that place the increased speed, decreased speed. Then we're looking at control champions, and then we're looking at damage dealers. So your Carl has the control with the freeze, and then he has the damage. He's got the debuffs. He's ignoring 50% of target's defense on targets under freeze debuffs. Very, very good. But the best control in the game is still going to be, for my money, in terms of the Dark Fae, Allure. On that A1, a 3-time at random, decrease the target's turn meter by 25% chance on each critical hit. So, I mean, that's beauteous, right? So much control off of this A1 ability, even against bosses when we have to deal with the turn meter reduction effects cut in half by 50%. It's still one of the most effective ways to control the bosses out there in the game. How about another freebie champion that we haven't spoken about yet in the video, but it's actually good old Loki. So Loki the Deceiver is very, very good against Dark Fae. We can open up with the stealing all buffs from a target enemy and stealing 100% turn meter, fills the turn meter of all allies by 15% if the target's turn meter was not stolen, and we can set everybody else, aka our nukers, up with an increased attack. We can go in with the A2, we can have the debuff spread, very strong control and a good opening move for Loki the Deceiver. But I want to go with one more rare before I let you guys go, and this is a campaign farmable rare that anybody can get their hands on. You don't even have to max her out. Take her to level 50 and use her in the early game of progression against Dark Fae, because again, it's the most important boss to go up against. Positive Charge, the 12th stage of campaign. You can get your hands on Diabolist. Fills the turn meter of all allies by 15%. Decreased turn meter of all enemies by 15%. It's a mini Deacon Armstrong ability, a very mini Lysandra ability. She can also attack and bring an increased speed on all allies, which will help you out throughout the rest of the duration of the fight. So there we go, guys. A lot of champions I didn't mention, but those are some of my absolute faves against every single boss in the game. Let me know if I didn't mention one of your favorite champions for any of these bosses, especially if it's kind of a accessible champion, an epic or a rare, or even an uncommon or legendary that was previously a fusion in the game. Thank you for watching all the way till the end of the video, and as always, take care, guys.